Hey there, I'm Juan Francisco, and I'm a psychic medium. I'm here with you to explore your intuition, the supernatural, and self-empowerment. This is Third Eyesight. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Third Eyesight. And you might notice that I'm doing a little bit of rebranding, which is just changing the color of the purple-ish color. It's a little more vibrant these days. My website has more vibrancy to it. My podcast logo has more vibrancy. I'm getting new business cards. I'm doing all the boring, but to me, very exciting businessy things. Just make myself pop out a little more. Add some more life to the things that I'm doing across the board. And I am just feeling so good. I just shared with you all in last week's episode or the episode before that, I forget when, that I've just turned 33. Feeling good about it. I've had some really great things pop up, and not that they're life-changing things, but they're just wonderful signs from the universe that I'm going in the right direction, and I'm going to continue going that path. And also, as you can tell, I am continuing to perfect my podcast video recording setup. You see a new background behind me that I tested out last episode for the YouTube viewers. And I feel like it's looking okay. It's looking okay. Trying to stage myself a little bit better so you don't see my bed behind me in the videos, the video versions of the podcasts. So, what are we talking about today? Happy things like cults. So I've been listening to this podcast. I actually just finished the podcast. It's one season. It's 7 or 8 episodes. And it's called Dangerous Memories. It was recommended by Hannah McIntyre, my chick, Hannah McIntyre, over in the UK, through her Mediumship Matters podcast episode. And it was fascinating. I finished it within a week. I was just obsessed with it. Was listening to it whenever I could. I'm not going to give it all away, but the gist of it is that it's a real story. It's a documentary style podcast about this woman in the UK named Anne Craig. And she put herself out there as a healer as well as a spirit communicator. And she happened to attract this ring, or this group of girls, young women, I should say, in Florence, who were studying art school, a lot of them being young women from the UK. And in the process of trying to help them through their problems, or saying that she was, and this meant hours a day or a week of one-on-one sessions with these young women sharing issues that they had with her, and her always bringing it back to it being her parents' fault. That their parents are part of this underground deep state ring of abusers. And just a warning, there are a lot of triggering topics, like including child abuse and sexual assault, that get covered in this podcast. And it's just horrific what this woman was telling these people about their families. And it ended up being that many of these women were isolating themselves from their families, excommunicating their parents over memories that they really didn't have, but that they believed to be true after seeing this woman for several sessions. Some of these young women didn't talk to their parents for 6 years or more. And it got me thinking a lot about my own experience that was not with a cult. It did not at all go to this extreme whatsoever. Not at all. But there were definitely some points of manipulation, I think. I've shared about this experience previously, but I haven't really done a deep dive with some context about it, I think. So I would like to do it again. And why am I bringing this up? Why do I want to talk about this subject? Well, I find it fascinating. I find it so interesting. It's like how people have their crime documentaries and their crime podcasts. I'm that way with spiritual gurus and cult figures. I find it very interesting. I don't go down rabbit holes. I don't get obsessed listening to these kinds of podcasts, but when they come across my desk, I want to hear more about it. I find the phenomena of cults really interesting, because they're usually instances where someone with a lot of assumed power taps into people's vulnerabilities and convinces them that they need this person to survive, to be happy. And that's exactly what happened with Anne Craig in the UK. These young women felt like they couldn't live their lives without this woman. They had to ask her for and about everything. It's really wild. And the fact that I, as a spiritual practitioner, as a psychic medium, I work in an industry where this can easily happen. So I'll talk about my experience. If someone that was not a cult figure by any means, I just want to clarify that. And I'm not going to mention them by name like I did last time. I did not mention them by name in the last time I've shared about them, and I refuse to name them because this is just my experience. In 2020 or maybe 2021, I'm forgetting what year it was, I had reconnected with someone who is a very good friend of mine. And after not talking to them for quite a while, I learned that their boyfriend had passed away in 2020 from COVID-19. And this young woman, of course she was heartbroken about it. And she told me that she had actually started seeing a psychic medium through Instagram. Her deceased boyfriend's mother told her about the psychic medium who did Instagram lives, readings on Instagram lives. And that she told me that her boyfriend was coming through. She said, my boyfriend came through for his mother, and he's come through for me. I believe she had done a reading on Instagram Live at that point. I believe so. I want to preface this by saying that this friend of mine, she is one of the sweetest people you'll ever meet. So sweet. Such a sweet person. So I want you to keep that in mind. Oh, what a rude train. Did you all hear that train outside? Anyways. I start following this psychic medium, and disclaimer that at this point in my journey, I did not realize my own psychic mediumship abilities. I did not believe I had the ability to be, I didn't believe I had the ability to be a medium. I didn't know about that yet. I was just practicing tarot cards. I think that's how this friend and I connected over psychic mediumship and the supernaturals that I told her I was probably practicing tarot cards. I don't really remember. But that's all I was doing. I was practicing them, studying them. So it's 2021, and I'm following the psychic medium. I'm one of the 14 or 15 people joining her Instagram lives to watch her. And she's doing just a general reading, and she is bringing people on live to give them readings. And there's so much coming up right now that I want to mention about her style of reading, but or of her style of getting people on her lives. But I'll get to that in a little bit. I hope I remember to share, because there were things that I thought, now looking back, I think they were so rude. But at the moment, I really saw this person as being so powerful. I thought she was so powerful because she could do these things. And she could. She could read people well. She was not a bad reader. So it's this is 2021, like I said. And in 2021, what's happening in the world? COVID-19 is still a big thing. The Delta variant was rampant that summer of 2021. I had been vaccinated with the first vaccine for COVID-19. I think it was April 2021, and then the second dose of the vaccine in June 2021. And after getting the second vaccine, I went out into the world like, I'm vaccinated, I'm free, and I got COVID. It was a really intense illness, but it was thankfully not so intense that I had to go to the hospital. It was just a really bad flu or a really bad cold. I'm already forgetting. I've had COVID many times, unfortunately, since then. And I just remember the first time I was very scared. Even though I was vaccinated, I was very scared because I have asthma. And I was anxiously waiting to get vaccinated to be able to enjoy life and go out in the world because I was afraid of catching it. I knew a couple people. I knew one person who had died, and I knew other people who knew people who had died. It was all a very unfortunate time in life for many people. And I had it the easiest probably because the person I knew was an acquaintance. And I just didn't want to risk anyone's health. I didn't want to risk my own health at that time. So I got vaccinated, got sick, and then I went on a trip to Gettysburg. And many of you will remember my Gettysburg episode if you've been around with the podcast for a very long time. If not, go back to some of the first, I think it's within the first 20 episodes of Third Eyesight. I did a whole podcast episode on my experience in Gettysburg with the Farnsworth House Inn. Oof, what an investigation. What a paranormal investigation that was. And I had an experience at the Farnsworth House Inn in Gettysburg that really freaked me out. And I could barely sleep with the lights off in my hotel room. But I slept with the lights on. I messaged this woman because I had done some lives with her in terms of receiving readings from her. She was very used to seeing me. Like, she really created this kind of clan, this club, this group of people. Just these people wanted to watch her all the time, and I was one of those people. And it was just a recurring group, and it became almost like a little friendship group. So I messaged her. I felt comfortable enough to message her. And I also believe that by this time, I had already had a one-on-one private reading with her. And I would say that 70% of it was pretty accurate. It wasn't a bad reading. It was a good reading. So there was this element of some trust I had in her. And so the night that I had my experience at the Farnsworth House Inn that freaked me out, I'm in my hotel room with the lights on, and I message her and I say, I am so nervous right now. I'm very afraid. I know nothing can hurt me, but I'm just really afraid. Could you just send some good energy my way? And she said that she said that she did, that she was praying for me and sending me protection. And then I went to bed with the lights on. And I just want to quickly pause and say that what happened at the Farnsworth House Inn is that this big bang happened above our heads when our paranormal investigation group was in the cellar of the building. And as I've mentioned many times to other people, and you've heard me say it on that one episode about the Farnsworth House Inn and Gettysburg, no staff member in that property dropped an object that was that heavy onto the floor above our heads, because who would want, as stewards of that property, a historic Civil War era colonial property, or not colonial, I am very uneducated, as you can tell. You know what I mean. Who would do that to a historic property when that property, working there, pays their bills, pays their salaries? Who would do that? Who would want to vandalize or harm a property? So I knew it was real, and it freaked me out. It was the loudest bang I've ever heard. I jumped up and cursed in front of the whole group. But then I go back and think about it, and we asked if someone, somewhere, something could make a noise to show their presence or show us their presence somehow. And they did. They made a noise. They toppled over a chair, a dining chair above our heads that made a really loud bang. It was a very heavy dining chair. They did it. They did exactly what we asked them to. So can you imagine you're a ghost and you hear someone say, make a noise for me to know that you're here, please? You make a noise and they freak out and run out of the building. And you're like, well, you asked me to do it. So I really think back on it and say to myself, you just got what you asked for. And that was pretty remarkable for the ghost to do. That's awesome. But I was afraid. I was scared because it was a loud bang. And it didn't help that the cellar at the Farnsworth House Inn at that time was decorated like a funeral parlor. It was terrible. And even the lead investigator, the tour guide, was not in alignment with what the place looked like in the cellar. So after that experience and sending a message to the psychic medium, I felt like, okay, the psychic medium has my back. Going deeper into 2021, towards the holiday season, I remember looking her name up on YouTube, on Google, because I think I was starting to get this vibe from her that she had a lot of things that she would say that signaled to me that my values just didn't align with hers. And one example is that she started saying things like, now all these kids think they don't have a gender and it's like a trend. And I thought, ooh, I don't know about that. Oh, that rubs me the wrong way. Because, as a gay person, I remember when people would scoff at seeing gay men featured in movies and TV shows, and we were the butt of people's jokes. And it's the whole idea that we're grooming, we're influencing children to become gay, and it's just not the case. And I wouldn't want that said of any other kind of identity either. I think this is such a side note, but I think it just happens that when there's more visibility, people see themselves, or they recognize part of themselves in somebody else, and they think, oh, maybe I've been this all along too. So when she said, oh, this gender stuff is a trend and these kids are like hopping on this trend because it's the cool thing to do now, it rubbed me the wrong way personally. So I started looking her name up out of curiosity, and I found on YouTube she was on a very, 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 very political show, but it was a political show that was very clearly obsessed with a specific political figure, like obsessed, to the point that this person who hosted the show, I think it was like a web show, he created lunch boxes with this politician's face on them. And I thought, that's a little much. I may love a politician that aligns with my values, but I would never buy a lunchbox or want to sell a lunchbox with their face on them. And this man, it was like looks like he was in his 60s or late 50s. Like, this was a grown man. It was just really odd to me. And she was a guest psychic, and she was predicting who would win. This was a web series episode from the year previous in 2020, before the presidential election. And she predicted who was going to win the presidential election. She ended up being incorrect. But it rubbed me the wrong way how she was so confident in saying who was going to win the presidential election in 2020. And as you all know, I am not a big fan of predictions personally, because number one, with a presidential election, at least in the United States, it is more likely than not a 50-50 chance. So you're 50% likely to be right. And it to me, it just gets very sticky when it comes to politics, religion, and it gets very, very sticky. And what are we trying to prove by predicting who the president's going to be as psychics? What are we trying to prove? Is it fun? Absolutely, it's fun. But when you have such an important platform and you go on these shows, and it's not something I quite understand. Maybe my mind will change in several years, and maybe you'll see me predicting presidential elections. I really hope not, because that goes against my values as a psychic medium. That's just me. Everyone else can do whatever they like to do. I don't judge it. Or am I judging it? I don't know. Maybe I'm going to be... Maybe in 4 years, you'll say, Juan, you're talking out of your own behind, because look what you used to say. So I'm open to my mind changing, but that's how I feel about it right now. And so at that time, it rubbed me the wrong way that she was doing that she had done that. And then the last straw for me was I was on one of her Instagram lives, and she said something about COVID-19 vaccines having the same aluminum or the same metals that you find in iPhones that Elon Musk is putting in his Teslas. This is before Elon Musk became today's Elon Musk. And I remember hearing this. I thought, well, this is bizarre. Now, pause, programming break. A little note on vaccines, because I just want to disclaim, I'm not a medical professional. I cannot and will not tell you what to do with your body, whether you should vaccinate or not. That's not my business. It's not my responsibility. My responsibility, though, as a psychic medium, is to tell you you need to do what you need to do with your body. And in the process, make sure that what you're doing with yourself is not putting anyone else at harm. So for me, I decided to get vaccinated because not only was it going to help protect me, but I was going to protect my loved ones too, who have diabetes, who have other conditions, or who just don't really need to get sick. I've always gone vaccines. I've always gone the flu vaccine. I was vaccinated with the measles vaccine. All the things that are today super hot topics, they were no big deals when I was a kid. And I feel pretty good today. So while I cannot give you my medical opinion because I'm not a medical professional, actually not while, I cannot give you my medical opinion because I'm not a medical professional, period. And I am sharing what I've done for myself. So you get a glimpse into with what lens, with what perspective I am now hearing this psychic medium on Instagram Live share these things about COVID vaccines. And I've always thought, whether or not someone agrees with the idea that people should get vaccinated, it is not a psychic medium's place to tell people you need to get vaccinated or to tell people you should not get vaccinated. Or if they're going to say that, and I do this often, I will say, I'm taking off my psychic hat and I'm just going to tell you human to human, blah, blah, blah. At least have that disclaimer that, this is not, I may upset some of you listeners right now by saying this, but I don't think that a psychic medium should give medical advice unless they are specifically a medical intuitive, which according to almost a year of watching this woman on Instagram, maybe, 8 months to a year, she was not claiming to be a medical intuitive. So that annoyed me when she was telling people what not to do medically. At the same time, when that happened, so this is close to the holidays. I think it's December or November. I think it was November 2021. By November 2021, I had already launched my podcast back in the month before, in October 2021. I had already discovered my mediumship abilities. I had also mentioned that I had discovered my mediumship abilities to this woman on an Instagram Live. And she proceeded to say, this is great, but be very careful. You don't want to mess with anything. Bummer. Downer, in my opinion. It's valid advice, but I just thought it was an interesting congratulatory statement to make. Like, this is nice, but be careful. Don't let anything bad in. So she had known that I discovered my abilities, but she was not ready for what I was wanting to do with them. I had my podcast. I just launched it. I was starting to go to Mediumship Circle. Then she shares her medical viewpoints on Instagram Live. And I thought, you know what? I'm not liking her vibe anymore. I don't like it. It just seems not aligned with my values and who I want to be. So I unfollowed her. And I remember talking to my friend, the one I mentioned before, the very sweet friend. We were talking to each other about this psychic medium. And I told her I had unfollowed her. And she said, yeah, I've been feeling uncomfortable with what she's been saying about COVID and other things. I'm unfollowing her too. I think it was the week before the Christmas holiday 2021, same year, the week before, Me being a people pleaser, recovering people pleaser, who at that time was really not recovering from that, I had been checking her Instagram every so often. I think I was afraid that she was going to notice that I unfollowed her. And this is something very key to remember. I was afraid that she would notice, which I cannot place the blame on her for that fear. I have to take responsibility for that. I was wanting to please another person, make them happy, and that's on me. I shouldn't have to feel the need to do that when someone doesn't align with my values. But I was afraid of her. And one day I was checking her Instagram and I was checking one of her recent lives, and she was not happy. On an Instagram live that she had posted to her feed, she said something to the effect of, and she started the live with this, okay? She started her whole live with this. She probably greeted them, hello, happy Monday, whatever it was. Hey guys, I'm upset. I'm paraphrasing her, but one phrase I'm going to quote from her that I remember very clearly is she said, I've been Judased. I laugh because it's ridiculous. I've been Judased. And she proceeded to say, this person unfollowed me and he started doing their own thing. And yeah, I had started putting up that I was doing tarot card readings. I think I was doing them for free. I was doing them for free, actually, not even getting money for them. They unfollowed me. They're doing their own thing. And the other one, and what she meant by the other one, was my friend, my sweet friend, said the other one, she always had demon energy, and, they're both, she's proceeded to say things about both of us going off and betraying her. And I'm thinking, she called my friend, she said my friend has demon energy? Ay, ay, ay. Oh. I mean, that's a strong, saying you've been Judas is one thing, but saying that someone has demon energy, that's just unnecessary. It's just too much. That's harsh. Unnecessarily harsh. And you know how on an Instagram live, when an Instagram live gets posted to someone's feed, you don't see the chat. People are chatting during Instagram live, all the followers, all the viewers, they're chatting away, and those things don't get translated into an Instagram feed post, right? But she was responding to people in her Instagram live chat and saying something like, yeah, I saw it too. They're doing their own thing now. And I know she was referring to me. And what's interesting is I'll get to a moment. In a moment, I'll get to what I was feeling when I heard and saw this. But I noticed that in the month prior, within the month, she was looking at my Instagram stories. She was viewing them. She never followed me, ever. But she decided to look at them. It took her a month to realize I had unfollowed her. And she decided to look at my Instagram stories to see what I was up to. And then this week happens, and I'm watching this live posted the day after, a few days after. And I get very nervous. I get kind of scared. And I text one of my new friends I had made in my mediumship circle. And I asked him, can you please just send good vibes? I think I texted 2 friends from mediumship circle. I was very scared. Very scared. Because I thought, what could she do to me? Could she cast a spell on me? And oh my gosh. And I'm very lucky that I had met people in mediumship circle who were very empowering, who told me not to worry, nothing can hurt me. And if something is out to hurt you, you have a lot of protection around you, period. And that was that. That was that. And now when I look at her Instagram account, she blocked me, by the way. After that incident, she blocked my friend, my dear friend, too. But I have other Instagram accounts that I use for other purposes. all very like one is for work, one is for my doggy, one is for like an Instagram idea I had that never came to fruition. And I used one of those to look at her profiles recently, and I'm looking at her vibe, and I'm like, oh, why did I ever put so much belief and trust in this woman? She obviously has, to me, looking back and looking at her content today, there's just there's a lot of pain that seems unresolved. And look, we all have unresolved pain to work through. I'm not one to judge, but when someone uses their platform to make other people feel like they need her. When I had my experience in Gettysburg, I don't remember her once saying, it was more like she was my protector and less reminding me that I'm already protected. And maybe I shouldn't knock the way she believes, because it's just everything. It's all she knows. It's what she's used to. But it was really about, I felt like I was relying on her. Now, I can't blame her for my reliance on her. Not 100%. I'm 50%, if not more, of the responsibility there. But I think given, after listening to Dangerous Memories, the podcast, it reminded me how this woman that I interacted with, the fact that she said, I've been Judased. Like, who are you, Jesus Christ? And also, why does anyone, whether someone is a client for a year, for 2-3 years, if that person decides not to see you anymore, to unfollow you, what's the problem? That's our right as your clients, because that's what I was, a client. You have so big a problem with me unfollowing you and doing my own tarot card thing, which wasn't exactly what you did anyways. Are you so threatened by that? The other day, I got an email from somebody who followed up with me. This was their 4th email to me asking to be on my podcast. And the 4th email, they said something like, just tell me if yes or no, I won't be offended. And they also said, I have abandonment issues, so it would really help if you were to say yes or no. I'm paraphrasing, but I remember they said they suffer from abandonment issues. And I'm thinking, why do I owe you a response? If 2-3 emails later I have not responded to you as someone who has a podcast, I don't owe you a response. And then you're using manipulation to try and make me feel guilty for you? Is that the kind of energy you want to bring to my podcast? The energy of, well, you should respond to me, a total stranger, because I have abandonment issues. Excuse me? Ugh. And on top of that, what you're pitching to me, your subject matter has nothing to do with spirituality. It's like financial wellness for women. Like, I don't cover that. The gall that some people have. And these are all, I think they're all wounds that people haven't resolved yet, or they're not wanting to work on yet. And they're letting it out by projecting it onto other people, having other people be at the other end of their pain to make them feel better, to make them feel powerful, to make them feel wanted and needed. And even though my experience with that psychic medium, it definitely was not cultish. I don't believe she's running a cult. But there was some manipulation there. And not only towards me, and I didn't explicitly receive manipulation because maybe it was more underhanded, but I will say that for people who watched her live where she told them I've been Judased and the other has demon energy, what do you think those people are feeling watching her live? They're probably thinking, oh shit, I better not cross this woman, or I better not unfollow her because look what she's going to say about me, or because she casts a spell on me. It's intimidating and it's unnecessary. So I hope that by sharing my story, if you see the signs that someone is manipulative as a spiritual practitioner, or wants to take advantage of your pain or of your vulnerability, I hope that you will ask yourself some questions. Does this person have all the power? Is this person encouraging me, empowering me, or just reminding me that I need them to be happy? Ask yourself those questions. I believe we come a long way when we get to a point where we understand that all the power comes from within us. We just use these resources like mediums and psychics to remind us that the power is already within us. That's what we're here for, just to remind you of that. Not to be your source of power, not to be your God. It's just not right. It's not accurate. So I hope that my storytelling and my rant helps somebody out there to realize something, or maybe you resonate with this. If you have a story to share, please send me an email, Juan@juanfranciscospirit.com. Share your story with me. I'm really curious if you've had an experience with a spiritual practitioner who was manipulative. Before I hop off, a big shout out to my Spotify listeners. I have 400 followers on Spotify, which is incredible. I just downloaded the Spotify for Creators app so I can see people's comments. I've noticed now that there's someone, I forgot your name. I'm going to get your name next time, but you've commented a few times on my Spotify episodes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I will shout you out next time. I promise. I don't have your name in front of me, but keep engaging with me. I love to hear your feedback, whether on Spotify, YouTube, through an Apple podcast review. All the reviews really, really help. And I appreciate you listening. Thank you for holding space, as they say, cheesily nowadays. But holding space, that's what it is. Thank you for holding space with me, dear listeners. Take care. Hey, are you liking the supernatural and self-empowerment talk? Then follow the podcast and please leave a review. If you want me to talk about a specific subject on the podcast or you have a question for the podcast, go to juanfranciscospirit.com and go to my contact page and submit that question.